Abhishek, sir, we are live now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining the call. And I know this market has been very volatile for last, I think, specifically 2-3 months, and has been keeping every investors active and regularly checking on his portfolio. So to have a detailed view on what's happening in the market and to understand what is beyond what we see across the news, we have Mr. Nilesh Shah. Mr. Nilesh Shah does not needs any introduction. He is the MD and CEO of Kotak Asset Management Company, and obviously an advisor to the economic reforms also. So, Nilesh sir, thanks for joining the call. It is really a pleasure to have you over the call.
Thank you, Abhishek bhai.
जी.
And my apologies, वो एक नीचे वीडियो चालू है, but I don't know how to remove it.
No worries, sir. Our
So
investors are very
please,
happy to talk to you and
yes,
verbally also.
so please bear with me for this, my technological backwardness. Next
No
presentation
problem.
में मैं इसको remove करना सीख जाऊंगा.
Sir, before we start on the
Yeah,
detailed discussion, actually, all the investors are really confused in terms of which way the direction is. Sometimes we get some good news about the market, then again there is a supportive bad news also. Currently people are closely tracking FII. I think the way we track FII now in last 3 months, we haven't tracked it before. तो बहुत सारे क्लाइंट्स हमसे खुद ही पूछने लगे हैं कि ये एफआईआई क्या कर रहा है, कौन है, उसके बारे में भी जानना चाहते हैं. So over to you, sir. I know you have a presentation, and we can talk about economy, we can talk about the earnings, and we can definitely talk about equity market as such. But broadly, we all want to know how do you think the things are shaping up way forward for any investor today.
perfect. Abhishek bhai, this is just a small presentation.
Sure, sir.
And
You want to take a pause?
you can see me and hear me?
Yeah, we can definitely see you,
Perfect.
sir.
So let's look at global economy.
जी.
अमेरिका का डेट दिन दोगुनी रात चौगुनी बढ़ रहा है.
Right, sir.
When we prepared this last time, it was about touching $36 trillion. And more importantly, look at this number. In 1980, debt to GDP of America was 35%. Today, it is 123%. Now, debt कम करने का एक ही तरीका है, इनकम बढ़ाओ, खर्चा कम करो.
जी.
For US, debt is unavoidable because for every dollar of debt which they raise, they're able to create 58 cents of GDP. US एक ऐसा युधिष्ठिर है जो जुए में उसको खेलना ही पड़ रहा है. अगर डेट लेना बंद करेगा तो जीडीपी क्रैश हो जाएगी. They are like a drug addict who knows drug is bad but can't avoid taking the drug. Now, debt is unavoidable, and on top of it, you have to manage debt, which is already at 122% of GDP. There are only two ways. One, you raise income. Second, you cut expenses. Now, both presidential candidates announced tax cuts, and both of them have been announcing expenditure increase. In fact, ये दोनों प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन एंड प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प, इन्होंने जितने फिस्कल डेफिसिट या खर्चा किया है, किसी और प्रेसिडेंट ने पीस टाइम में नहीं किया है. So it's very, very clear that US will remain heavily leveraged. फेड ने अब तक तो बहुत अच्छा काम किया. They managed inflation and growth dynamics very well. But now they are under President Trump. And in last meeting, they had to announce that I will not resign even if President Trump asks me to resign. So you can imagine what will be pressure on Fed going forward. US economy is consumption driven. Consumption is 2/3 of American GDP. लोग खर्चा तब करेंगे when they are secured about future. In US, almost half of their wealth is invested into stock market. अगर stock market नीचे है तो American consumer की wealth गुल and then confidence disappears. If stock market continues to rise, then undoubtedly their ability to spend money will continue. So net summary, US is leveraged. They are not taking any step other than announcing under Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, Dodge, Department of Governmental Efficiency, which may cut spending or may not cut spending. And they need to keep their equity markets higher so that their consumption continues unabated. Now, then we have China. China is miracle economy. They are this year going to have $1 trillion of trade surplus. Their exports will be more than their imports by $1 trillion. There are only two countries in the world whose exports are $1 trillion, US and Germany. No other country has reached the level of China's exports. For this miracle, China also has a miracle on debt side. Their debt to GDP ratio for private sector credit is as high as 200%. Most countries at this level of debt has collapsed. But China, miracle है, उनकी गाड़ी अभी भी चल रही है. China is an autocratic communist country, but वहां पे भी अपनी जैसी लाडली बहना योजना घूम रही है. That shows that globally debt is becoming a challenge. Global GDP is about $110 trillion. Debt is about $313 trillion. Average debt to GDP ratio remains fairly high. अब डेट अगर इतना ऊपर है तो ओनली ऑप्शन इज टू कट इंटरेस्ट रेट्स टू प्रोवाइड लिक्विडिटी. नाउ इन दैट सिनेरियो, एक मिनट, आई एम टोल्ड स्क्रीन इज नॉट. अभिषेक भाई, स्क्रीन इज नॉट विजिबल.
So screen is not visible, sir.
Okay.
We can see you.
Oh, so
Yeah.
let me just do, I'll share the screen. Now the screen is visible.
Yeah, now we can see, sir. You can make it full screen, sir.
Full screen में नहीं करता हूँ because there are some challenges on the full
No,
screen.
no worries, sir. I
But
understand.
after presentation, it will become full screen.
Yeah, okay.
So in that context, if you look at India, so far we have done well. There was a time when we were coach to the global growth train. दुनिया चलती थी, हम चलते थे. Today, हम चलेंगे तो दुनिया चलेगी. Along with China and America, we have become part of the global growth train engine. Now, our challenge is not growth. Our challenge is unevenness of growth. 13 districts of India contributes half of India's GDP. 692 other districts contributes balance. 13 equal to 692 mathematically galat hai, but for India's GDP, it's the right equation. Are we something different? Answer is no. जो हमारा दस्तूर है वही दुनिया का दस्तूर है. Globally, 4% of land mass gives half of world's GDP. and 96% of landmass gives balance half. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे यहाँ पे कोई अलग चीज है. It's always fair to remember India is an economy where there are three distinct subsets. 1% of Indians live life of a rich country like France. 27% Indians live lifestyle of a middle income country like Indonesia. And 72% Indians live lifestyle of a poor country like Uganda. विकसित भारत तब बनेगा जब in the poor segment we have no Indians. Everyone enjoys lifestyle of a rich person or a middle income person. In that context, if we come to today's economy, well, there is little bit of mixed feeling on economy. Overall, India is the fastest growing major economy. Compared to others, we are oasis in the desert. But there are some dark clouds on horizon. Cement volume growth is below expectation. Passenger vehicle sales have been degrowing for last 3 months. Power generation degrew in August. Diesel sales grew negatively in July, in August and September. All these things are indicator that everything is not good in our economy. Lot of this is because of good rains, Shraddh period in September, and low government spending because of election in first half of current year. If we look at microfinance, it's witnessing higher stress, indicating not everything is good in rural India. For last almost 6 months, GST collection growth, while positive, is lower than nominal GDP growth. Our real challenge remains employment. Lot many Indians work in agriculture. Lot less Indians work in high-paying jobs in industry and services. This impacts consumption. However, rural consumption seems to be recovering now. It's growing faster than urban consumption. Three things are going to happen in second half of FY25. First, wedding season begins 12th November 24 to Jan 25. About 4.8 million weddings will happen, resulting into spending of 6 lakh crore. Diwali, Dashera, Navratri, Christmas. This festival season also will come in second half and push consumption. And finally, government, which announced 11,11,111 rupee of spending, their capex will jump from 69,000 crore a month in first half to 1,16,000 crore in second half. Between weddings, festival and government spending, second half should be better than the first half. India also has to leverage its infrastructure. We are 1/5 of China in GDP, but our electric rail track is 1/2 of China. Our passengers are almost 40% of China. Our highways are almost 40% of China. If we improve ease of doing business, we will be able to leverage this infrastructure. India missed out on industrial revolution because of colonization. That created a scenario where for 200 years, India did not grow. Now, world is witnessing digital revolution with artificial intelligence. Over here, we are keeping pace with other developed and developing nations. We are behind US and China, but compared to Germany, Korea, Japan, Australia, UK, we are doing well. Hopefully, unlike industrial revolution, we will not miss digital revolution. Now, we also have to accept that we are a coalition government now. It's not a majority government. In coalition government, certain reforms will happen, certain will not. Some reforms will push growth higher, some may not impact growth as much. We believe Uniform Civil Code, Population Control Bill kind of contentious issue will be buried. Infrastructure spending, Digital India, defense and R&D spending, employment, skilling, housing-related spending, fiscal prudence will continue. This will support our growth positively. Few things like asset monetization, free trade agreement, ease of doing business, we will do 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. इनका जितना फायदा हमें मिलना चाहिए उतना नहीं मिलेगा एंड कुछ चीजें हम नहीं करेंगे. लैंड एंड लेबर रिफॉर्म्स, फार्म एंड जुडिशियल रिफॉर्म्स, स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट लाइक एयर इंडिया, जीएसटी रैशनलाइजेशन, ये हम नहीं करेंगे. ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम कुछ राज्यों में हमें कर दी है. That will have impact on our fiscal situation. उम्मीद मार्केट की यह है, these steps which we are doing will support growth, and over a period of time we will develop political will to pursue real reforms like land, labor, farm, judicial, strategic divestment, improving ease of doing business, etc. I also hope and pray our voters will vote sensibly so that pension reforms need not be reversed across the country and NPS continue to support our pension reforms. China, अगर हम reforms कर लेते हैं तो we will become like China, dominant in manufacturing, doing huge exports. Whether we'll be able to do this or not, time will tell. Now let's come to the equity market at this point of time. The first question is, where will the markets go? Let's first find out where will the markets not go. As of today, market cap to GDP ratio of India is about 137%. Historical average है 84%. If market goes to historical average, Nifty should be 17,000, not 24,000. We think that is unlikely to occur. We don't think markets will fall to this level. Why do we say so? Well, between 2010 to 2020, for 10 years, profit grew from 3 lakh crore to 4 lakh crore. बहुत ही minimal growth था. Market cap went up from 62 lakh crore to 113 lakh crore. Nothing much. In the next 5 years, profit grew from 4 lakh crore to 15 lakh crore, multiplied almost 4 times. Market cap followed. This profit growth gives us confidence that market cap to GDP ratio will not revert to its historical average currently. 16-17 हजार निफ्टी आना बहुत मुश्किल लगता है. Second, market is trading at a little premium to its historical average, but not significantly कि यहां से और 25-30% correction हो जाए. Large caps are trading at about 11% premium. Mid and small cap are at about 30% premium. तो लार्ज कैप में बहुत बड़ा करेक्शन आता मुश्किल दिखता है. थर्ड, सितंबर क्वार्टर के नतीजे अनडाउटेबली बिलो एक्सपेक्टेशन आए इन मिड कैप. ओवरऑल मार्केट उम्मीद लगा के बैठा था कि प्रॉफिट ग्रोथ विल हैपन 1.4% एक्स फाइनेंशियल्स एंड ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी. एक्चुअल नंबर केम एट -0.6%. लार्ज कैप में अगेंस्ट -3.4, -5.7. मिड कैप में बड़ा करेक्शन हुआ. ओवरऑल while these numbers are subdued, we still believe these numbers are good enough to support market. इस साल पहले क्वार्टर में जून 25 में निफ्टी ईपीएस तकरीबन 287 रुपये आई. सेकेंड क्वार्टर सितंबर में ईपीएस 269 के आसपास आने की उम्मीद है. दिस मेक्स इट अबाउट 556 फॉर फर्स्ट हाफ. सालाना उम्मीद थी 1059 की. दैट मीन्स नेक्स्ट 6 महीनों में निफ्टी ईपीएस 503 रुपया आनी चाहिए. पहले हाफ में 556 आई है, तो सेकेंड हाफ की 503 मुश्किल नहीं लगती. चैलेंज इज नॉट FY25 EPS, challenge is FY26 EPS. Will we be able to generate 18% profit growth? Looks difficult. So we may end up at 1200 rupee EPS for Nifty 50 next year, that is FY26. And if we assume 1200 EPS, then about 20 times 24,000 Nifty looks fairly priced. Going forward, profit growth of Nifty will deliver return rather than valuation re-rating. This also means the downside of the market is limited because fundamentals are in place. The second thing is FPI selling. In the month of October, November, they have sold aggressively. But thanks to friends like Abhishek Bhai and investors like yourself, mutual funds have been getting good flows and we have been absorbing FPI selling. FPI selling is emerging market specific, not India specific. दुनिया भर से उन्होंने माल बेचा है. चाइना अपने नंबर पब्लिश नहीं करता. ऑन अ मंथली बेसिस दे पब्लिश ऑन अ क्वार्टरली बेसिस. बट जो हम सुनते हैं मार्केट में, वहां पे भी बिकवाली है. पैसा इंडिया और अदर इमर्जिंग मार्केट से यूएस, ताइवान, जापान जैसे देश में जा रहा है. एफपीआई भी एक रिवॉल्विंग डोर खेल रहे हैं. कभी आते हैं, कभी जाते हैं. CY22 बेचते गए, CY23 में आके खरीदी कर दी. जनवरी 24 में बेचा, फरवरी मार्च खरीदा. अप्रैल मई बेचा, जून जुलाई अगस्त सितंबर खरीदा. अक्टूबर नवंबर बेचा, क्या पता दिसंबर में वापस खरीदने आ जाए. एफपीआई की सेलिंग धीरे धीरे कम होगी ऐसा हमें लगता है. सामने जो जरूरी है वो आप लोगों का सहकार साथ. ओवर लास्ट 10 years, डोमेस्टिक इन्वेस्टर्स आर ड्राइविंग द मार्केट. पहले गोरे को जुकाम होता था और हम खांसना चालू कर देते थे. नाउ वी ड्राइव आवर ओन मार्केट. आप कह सकते हैं कि रियल लाइफ लगान मूवी खेल रहे हैं. वहां पे लोकल टीम ने गोरों को हराया था. यहां पे भी बिल्कुल वैसा है. मार्च, अप्रैल, मई, जून, जुलाई, अगस्त 2020 के कोविड पीरियड में फॉरेनर्स वर सेलिंग, इंडियंस केप्ट ऑन बाइंग. फाइनली फॉरेनर्स गॉट टायर्ड आउट. October 21 to June 22, Russia-Ukraine conflict time, 250,000 crore of foreigner selling occurred. We kept on buying. Finally, they realized in this test match we cannot win. Another T20 was played on election day. They came to sell aggressively and local investors bought them out. I am sure this time also in this Lagan match, we will win. FPI flows are large, undoubtedly, but not substantial. So far, what they have sold is just about 0.2% of market cap. In the past, they have sold as high as 1.5% and as low as 0.2%. June 19 से September 19 में when they sold about 0.2% of the market cap, market had corrected 10%. Today, they have sold 0.2%. Markets have bottomed out at 10%. So, in some sense, FPI selling should start slowing down in the days to come. एक worry था, will people take money out of India to invest in China? Look at Chinese market. After 30% jump, they are trading at June 2007 index level. We are down 10%, we are trading at July 2024 level. उनका इंडेक्स 17 साल पीछे है, हमारा इंडेक्स 5 महीना पीछे है. More importantly, their P ratio now is above their historical average P ratio. और हमारा historical average के पास है. The other important thing, in the last 10 years, their earnings growth was just 10% in renminbi terms. Our earning growth was 166% in renminbi, in rupee terms. कहाँ 10, कहाँ 166, कहाँ राजा भोज, कहाँ गंगू तेली. Where will people invest? Where we should not go? Well, there are certain low floating stock counters which have corrected 30% plus, and we still believe valuations there could be expensive, and hence one needs to exercise caution. The most important thing is to moderate your return expectation. 72 out of 100 stocks are up more than double in last 5 years. 318 stocks out of BSE 500 are up more than 2 times. Almost every stock has rallied in last 5 years. As I mentioned, many stocks have jumped because profits were good, but some stocks have jumped because of valuation. On Jan 20, 79 stocks were trading at more than 50p. Today, that number is 3.5 times higher at 209 stocks. Valuations have become expensive. This is the most important slide of the presentation. In last 20 years, broad market delivered 13% return. Large caps delivered the last 5 years returns were about 19%. Before that, for 15 years, broad market returns were 11%. If you go to small cap and mid cap, 20-year returns 12 to 15%, 5-year return 27%, and before that, for 15 years, returns were 7.5 to 11%. People believe going forward, they'll get 26, 27, 28% return. We think that's not going to happen. Your returns will range somewhere in this quadrant of previous 15 years return from 05 to Jan 20, rather than last 5 years return from 20 to 24. People will have to moderate their return expectation. Will there be volatility in market? Answer is undoubtedly yes. Market today is expecting Fed to cut rates, government to remain in power for full 5 years, and tomorrow's Maharashtra result will be a good indicator. Oil prices will remain subdued. Consumption will bounce back. Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas सब settle हो जाएंगे. and earnings growth double digit आता रहेगा. If all these things materializes, markets will move up. If some of this don't materializes, markets will correct. We believe eventually everything mentioned over here may happen. Obviously, geopolitical risk is difficult to quantify. What will be our advice to investors? Focus on quality over momentum. Focus on high floating stock market discovered prices rather than concentrated holdings. And focus on reasonable valuation over expensive valuation. Sectorally, automobile is trading around its historical average. Private banks are trading below historical average. NBFCs are trading around historical average, but we believe there is stress of microfinance and unsecured lending in NBFC. Hence, it's a red signal. Consumer staples are around historical average. Both automobiles and consumer staple is neutral weight. Private banks is overweight. Telecom PE looks higher, but there will be price revision which will increase earnings and bring PE ratio to historical average. Utilities, infrastructure, capital goods, they all are trading way above historical averages and hence looks expensive. Consumer durables looks expensive. Specialty chemical, real estate, cement, they are trading little premium to historical average, but growth is expected to surprise. PSU banks, technology, healthcare, they are around historical average or little premium, but one will have to wait for triggers to invest into the same. Oil and gas looks expensive. Overall, in the long term, we believe Indian equity is like this advertisement. You never actually own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation. अमृत काल के इंडिया में निवेश करना चाहिए नेक्स्ट जनरेशन के लिए. On the fixed income side, interest rate cuts will happen in second half of CY25, unlikely to happen in CY24. We have launched one fund, Kotak Income Plus Arbitrage Fund of Fund. On a 2-year horizon, gains from this fund will be taxed at 12.5%. This is very, very attractive for a fixed income investor. On gold, we have been bullish for some time, as central banks around the world have become like Indian housewife. गोल्ड खरीदने का बेचने का कभी नहीं. Despite massive buying, gold as a percentage of FX reserve is very, very low in countries like China, India, Taiwan, Switzerland, Japan. And when we look at countries like United States, Germany, France, large portion of their FX reserve is in gold. We believe ये सारे लोग यहाँ से यहाँ पे आने की कोशिश करेंगे. That will keep gold prices supported. Gold also does well when US interest rates come down, and we all know that US interest rates on a rate cutting spree. That will support gold prices even further. If I have to summarize, growth will slow down globally. India will do better. In debt, by the longest possible maturity or income plus arbitrage kind of Kotak fund. Medium term, gold will shine and outperform fixed income. In equity, please moderate return expectation. पिछला 5 साल आने वाले 5 साल में रिटर्न नहीं दे, आने वाले 5 साल पिछले 5 सालों की तरह रिटर्न नहीं दे पाएंगे. Large cap looks better. FMCG IT will provide entry point. Private banks and chemical also one will have to accumulate. Avoid low floating stock counters where float is controlled. With this, I will end my talk, but happy to take your questions.
Thank you, sir. This is very, very comprehensive. I think uh, whatever questions which were going in my mind and investors' mind would have already been answered through the slides which you were uh, taking us through, and we could make out a lot of reasons why one should do it or not, what one should do way forward. So, sir, as you have already explained a lot of things, we have certain investors who want to understand there are various categories. So, there are investors who are only investing into equity markets, and they have very little exposure to a managed portfolio, which could be through mutual funds or PMSs, primarily mutual fund, because that's an open door for everyone to welcome, rather than PMSA app, which has definitely some minimum criteria to participate. So what is your advice to them, how they should look at the portfolio? Because they are looking at the portfolio with a hindsight ki, yes, they have 25-30 scripts, 10 have done phenomenally well. Now obviously in last 2 months those numbers would have shuffled, but yes, what should be their approach for the portfolio as such?
So Abhishek, by maximum money is made by asset allocation, and
जी
maximum attention is given on stock selection.
जी
हाफ वॉली आए तो छक्का मारना चाहिए, और
राइट
यॉर्कर आए तो अपने आप को डिफेंड करना चाहिए.
जी
पब्लिक यॉर्कर पे छक्का मारने की कोशिश करते हैं और हाफ वॉली पे 1 रन लेते हैं. असेट अलोकेशन मींस हाफ वॉली पे छक्का और यॉर्कर पे 1 रन.
जी
So my recommendation to investors will be to consult people like you and find out what part of their portfolio is invested for what purpose. सपोज
जी
आपने रिटायरमेंट के लिए पैसा डाला है 15, 20, 30 साल के लिए, तो
जी
ये सब वॉलेटिलिटी की चिंता मत करिए. 30 साल बाद सेंसेक्स के निफ्टी के चार्ट में ये करेक्शन आप देख नहीं पाएंगे. एंड अगर आपको लगता है कि ये सही नहीं है, तो मैं रेकमेंड करूंगा कि सेंसेक्स का चार्ट खोलिए और देखिए 91 में जो 4000 का सेंसेक्स 2000 हो गया था वो कैसा दिखता है. 4000 पे 2000 50% गिरता है. 80
राइट
पे 2000 कितना है आपको मालूम है.
डेफिनेटली
सो कंसल्ट योर advisor in finding out what is the objective of your investment, what is your risk profile, and based on that, take asset allocation fall. If today you have more equity than you need, please book profit. If you have equity as much as you need, sit back, enjoy, relax. And if you have equity which is less than what you need, then please invest, even if it means catching a falling knife. थोड़ा बहुत खून निकलेगा बिकॉज मार्केट वॉलेटाइल रहेगा, बट इवेंचुअली वो वॉलेटिलिटी आप लॉन्ग टर्म चार्ट में देख भी नहीं पाएंगे.
जी I can relate that, sir, because 3 years back, just to tell our investors, Kotak AMC launched a fund, Kotak Multi Cap Fund. That's a once fund which they have launched 3 years back, and now we are recommending looking at the performance of it. The NAV has almost nearly doubled. Even look, people normally we see investors looking at only the 10, 20, or 30 scripts which have doubled over the period of time. Here when we're talking about the entire portfolio which is almost doubled. So that is the impact which a professional approach can definitely bring. So इसमें सर एक दीवार जैसी सिचुएशन भी कर सकते हैं कि where you one can be Amitabh Bachchan and one can be the Shashi Kapoor, and where investors who want to play or who want to understand or who want to have their own expertise, test their own expertise in the market, can use their own wisdom and participate, and then give something to a co-player who's like a fund manager who will manage the portfolio. Because in last 3 months where we have seen individual portfolios getting depleted by 35%, we have seen AMCs or fund houses NAV going down by 9 to 10%. So second question is for investors. We have investors who are yet to start. These are primarily the age group of 24 to 28 age customers who are yet to start, and they are first time investors in the market. They are lured by at times FNO, but yes, they also want to create a long term wealth. So what is your advice to them? Should they bother about the market? What should they do, and how should they do?
So, Abhishek bhai, in my life, I haven't seen many people becoming rich by trading in FNO.
जी.
And I have seen lots of people losing their future in futures and options trading.
जी.
So if you have access to data analytics, if you can build algorithms which are cutting edge, and if you are using co-location server for faster execution, then probably you can make money through trading in FNO. मैं तो हमेशा लोगों को यही कहता हूं कि इंडिया के सबसे अच्छे ट्रेडर हैं श्री राधाकिशन दमानी जी। एक बार हम फ्लेम इंस्टीट्यूट गए थे, तो किसी ने उनसे पूछा कि राधाकिशन जी, आपकी तरह ट्रेडर कैसे बनूं? उन्होंने कहा, देख बेटा, मैंने अपने बच्चों के लिए डीमार्ट खोला है, उनको भी ट्रेडिंग नहीं करवा रहा हूं, तो तू ट्रेडिंग रहने दे, निवेश करना सीख ले। सो इफ यू आर एक्सेप्शनली ब्रिलियंट, you have data analytics, algos, connectivity, then please trade. Otherwise छोड़ दीजिए। In this, I will say, trading is injurious to ordinary traders' health. Have we seen people making money? Answer is undoubtedly yes. दूर की बात छोड़ देते हैं, जहां पे 10 रुपए की एनएवी 100 रुपए, 500 रुपए, 1000 रुपया हो गई। मैं सिर्फ पिछले 5 साल की बात करता हूं। I have never met this lady, but I have heard about her from one of my distributor friend in North India. 75-year-old lady had invested money in debt and hybrid products. She had worked all through the life, and she had got some money from husband. She was a widow. She is a widow.
Right.
In COVID time, she called her distributor कि बेटा ये सारे पैसे इक्विटी में शिफ्ट कर दे। The broker was shocked, said, माजी रिस्क लेना है क्या? She said, बेटा अब रिस्क नहीं लूंगी तो कब लूंगी? वैसे भी जान का भरोसा नहीं है, ले लेते हैं रिस्क।
जी.
Today, her portfolio is up 4 or 5 times. She has earned more money, significantly more money in last 5 years of her life than first 75 years of her life.
जी.
Now, ये जब कहते हैं ना अभिषेक भाई, तो लोग कहते हैं कि नीलेश भाई, पैसा ही जिंदगी में सब कुछ नहीं होता है, रिश्ते मायने रखते हैं, ये उम्र में तो रिश्तेदार होने चाहिए। तो let me tell you, number of relatives she had at 75 years of age, now she has many more relatives because she is much more wealthier.
जी.
तो निवेश करके पैसा बनाना बहुत सिंपल है, सिर्फ संयम चाहिए, धैर्य चाहिए, धीरज चाहिए। ट्रेडिंग करके
Definitely.
पैसा बनाना बहुत इजी लगता है, बगैर पैसे जल्दी से रातों रात, बट वो खाली ख्वाब है, रियलिटी नहीं है।
Sir, and then how one should approach this market? They should start an SIP, or is this the time for lump sum investments if somebody is sitting on liquidity?
See, if you are investing lump sum, please throw the responsibility of asset allocation on fund managers. Equity saving schemes, balance advantage fund, multi-asset allocation fund. Equity
जी.
saving scheme is meant for conservative investors. वो 10 से 50% इक्विटी में अलोकेट करेंगे, बाकी आर्बिट्राज और डेट में करेंगे। बैलेंस एडवांटेज फंड 20 से 80% या 20 से 90% इक्विटी में अलोकेट होगा, बैलेंस आर्बिट्राज और डेट में जाएगा। तो इक्विटी सेविंग स्कीम्स है, वो थोड़ा ज्यादा रिस्की प्रोडक्ट है। एंड फाइनली मल्टी एसेट अलोकेशन फंड डेट, इक्विटी और गोल्ड सिल्वर के बीच में अलोकेट करता रहेगा। लमसम पैसा इन 3 फंड में आप कभी भी डाल सकते हैं। अगर इक्विटी फंड में लमसम पैसा डालना है तो पक्का चेक कर लेना आप कुंभकर्ण के नाती है या नहीं। 14 साल के लिए आप पैसा डाल के सो जाने वाले हैं, एनएवी नहीं देखने वाले हैं, तो 100% लमसम पैसा आज लगा सकते हैं। बट कितने लोग हैं हमारे यहाँ जो कुंभकर्ण का धैर्य रखते हैं, नींद रखते हैं? तो कुंभकर्ण से आपका नाता है तो लमसम इक्विटी में भी आज निवेश कर सकते हैं। बाकी जो ऑर्डिनरी लोग हैं उनके लिए एसटीपी अच्छा है। 3 महीना, 6 महीना, 9 महीना, जो आपको अच्छा लगे उस अवधि की एसटीपी कर दीजिए। अपने आप मार्केट की एवरेज में आपका निवेश हो जाएगा।
जी
अगर आप ये उम्मीद करते हैं कि मैं या अभिषेक आपको बता सकूं 22,000 निफ्टी लेने का टाइम है, 26,000 निफ्टी बेचने का टाइम है, 24,000 निफ्टी लेने का टाइम है, 27,000 बेचने का टाइम है, तो ऐसी भ्रमणा में मत रहिए। अगर हमें ये चीज मालूम होती तो नौकरी थोड़ी करते। हमें ये चीज नहीं मालूम है इसलिए तो नौकरी कर रहे हैं।
very right, sir. Sir, we have also one question from our one of our customer. He's asking ki FIIs, what are they seeing that they are selling Indian market? Is it something about जैसे आपने last time बताया था there are two lines and one line is bigger than the other one. यहाँ पे अभी क्या situation उल्टी हो गई है, दूसरी line better हो गई है, और they are seeing fundamentally something wrong on this line as an Indian economy.
एक जैसा मैंने पहले प्रेजेंटेशन में देखा है कि हमारी इकोनॉमी बाकी के सामने अच्छा कर रही है, बट उसी
जी
वजह से एफपीआई ने यहाँ पे बहुत पैसा बनाया है।
जी
चाइना की मार्केट 17 साल पुराने लेवल पे ट्रेड कर रही है।
जी
17 साल से किसी ने पैसा ही नहीं बनाया, बुक क्या करेंगे। 1 मिनट अभिषेक भाई, आई हैव टू टेक दिस कॉल। हाँ सर।
So all the investors who have joined till the time Nilesh sir is back, I think he has got some very urgent call. Uh, if you want to know more detailed about any of the fund, so we have multiple applications which you can go on to. One is HDFC Invest Right app, where if you want to know detailed about any fund, that details are available. If you are an investor of Invest Now, you can go to Invest Now, write the name of the fund, and you will have a detailed information about the fund, what it holds, what it is, what are the top holdings, what are the top stocks which this fund manager is investing. If you are using HDFC Sky as your trading app, then within HDFC Sky, there are features like you can see the funds. In fact, we have an advanced feature where one can compare funds between two funds. And the comparison is not only basis performance, the comparison is basis the risk, comparison is basis what they hold, what is the overlap, and it will give you a detailed insight about how one should invest or one should compare between two different funds. Also, for all our investors, what we do is HDFC as a group, we have a policy of recommending funds, and our recommended funds are visible on the website, and they are also marked on the HDFC Sky app and Invest Now app. Sir, over to you. Yeah, I was just telling them about
Yeah.
how we do our research.
So, Abhishek bhai, you'll have to remind what was the question. I just forgot the.
So I think currently you were touching about investments in staggered or lump sum. That was the
Yeah.
thing which we were discussing.
So lump sum, बैलेंस एडवांटेज फंड, इक्विटी सेविंग स्कीम, मल्टी एसेट एलोकेशन, नहीं तो हमेशा एसटीपी।
Right. STP or SIP. So STP, why Nilesh sir is saying, because I asked him specifically if a client is having lump sum, but knowing that we have flow of income, and SIP is one thing which is always helping. Anyways, we can see the support which SIP investors have given so far. A lot of you are there on the call, and sir, if there is because there's one fund which specifically HDFC Group is also bullish upon, is HDFC Multi Cap Fund, and the sectors which you have shown are already as the top holdings, which you say automobile, auto components, consumer services, and IT. And so is this the right approach? Because you said yes, large cap is probably the future way forward. Not specifically I'm pointing out yes, it will be, it's a straight answer, but yes, definitely there's very high probability. And multi cap, I think we are playing across. So if you can touch upon that for 2 minutes.
So again अभिषेक भाई, अगर आपने मार्च 20 में खरीदा है तो आप रिस्क टेकर हैं, आप वीरेंद्र सहवाग है।
जी
हाफ वॉली आएंगी, आप छक्का मार लेंगे। अगर आपने मार्च 20 में बेचा है तो आप कंजर्वेटिव इन्वेस्टर है, आप राहुल द्रविड़ है, धीरे धीरे रन बनाएंगे, सॉलिड खेलेंगे। और अगर आपने मार्च 20 में कुछ नहीं किया, जो चल रहा था चलने दिया, तो आप एवरेज इन्वेस्टर हैं। अपनी फितरत को जानना बहुत जरूरी है। People end up becoming risk taker when they see returns are good, but that is the time when you should be taking less risk. And people become conservative when they see returns are negative, but that is the time when you have to take higher risk. So please be very sure what is your risk profile, and based on that, make the allocation. Now, suppose if I am a conservative guy, for me, balance advantage fund, multi-asset allocation fund, large cap fund are appropriate. They'll give lower risk and lower return. If I'm average risk taker, then large and mid cap fund, multi cap fund, focused fund will be appropriate. They will give average risk and average return. If I'm risk taker, then I can go into small cap fund, mid cap fund, thematic fund. अगर मैं डायबिटिक हूं तो डेजर्ट खाने का मतलब नहीं है, अगर मैं तंदुरुस्त हूं तो डेजर्ट छोड़ने का मतलब नहीं है। डेजर्ट देख के ये खाना या नहीं खाना तय मत करना, अपनी तंदुरुस्ती क्या है वो देख के तय करना, कितना डेजर्ट खाना चाहिए, कितना छोड़ना चाहिए। मल्टी कैप फंड, एज अभिषेक भाई मेंशन्ड, इज अ फैंटास्टिक कंसेप्ट। उसमें 25% लार्ज मिड और स्मॉल में निवेश होता है, और बैलेंस 25% लार्ज मिड या स्मॉल, उसमें किसी में भी आप निवेश कर सकते हैं। आज की तारीख में मेरे हिसाब से मल्टी कैप में 50% लार्ज कैप, 50% स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप होंगे। मार्च 2020 जैसे समय में 25% लार्ज कैप होंगे और 75% स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप होंगे। तो ये जो कॉम्बिनेशन होता है लार्ज मिड एंड स्मॉल का, वह सही तरीके से लोगों का असेट एलोकेशन करता रहता है और अच्छे रिटर्न बना सकता है। तो फॉर एवरेज रिस्क टेकर, मल्टी कैप फंड इज द मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट फंड, जो लार्ज मिड और स्मॉल तीनों का बेनिफिट देता है।
definitely sir. I think one thing which we left on when you got a call and was on the China thing. So if you can just finish that, which was
Sure. So China is a miracle. $1 ट्रिलियन का एक्सपोर्ट सरप्लस, जो कोई सोच नहीं सकता है वो चाइना करके दिखाता है। बट जितना चमके उतना सोना नहीं होता। इस बेहतरीन ग्रोथ के पीछे, इस बेहतरीन परफॉर्मेंस के पीछे क्रेडिट का स्टेरॉइड्स है। उनका प्राइवेट क्रेडिट टू जीडीपी रेशो 200% के ऊपर है। भारत का टोटल डेट टू जीडीपी रेशो 200% नहीं है। डेट ले लेके चाइना ने ग्रोथ खड़ा किया है, अद्भुत ग्रोथ खड़ा किया है। बट जब आपका धंधा डेट के ऊपर चलता है तो रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी कम हो जाता है। पिछले 10 सालों में चाइनीज कंपनी ने ग्रो तो किया, बट कैपिटल डाइल्यूट करते गए तो ईपीएस ग्रोथ सिर्फ 10% रहा। भारतीय कंपनी ने भी पिछले 10 सालों में ग्रो किया, बट कैपिटल डाइल्यूट नहीं किया, बचा के बैठे, तो ईपीएस ग्रोथ 166% हो गए। मुझे लगता है जब तक हमारी अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ चाइना से बढ़िया रहेगी, तब तक हमारी मार्केट चाइना से ज्यादा रिटर्न देगी। पिछले 17 सालों से चाइना का CSI 300 इंडेक्स उसी लेवल पे ट्रेड कर रहा है, ऊपर नीचे जरूर जाता है, बट आज का CSI 300 2007 के CSI 300 लेवल के ऊपर है। 2007 में आपको पता है सेंसेक्स कहां पे था, आज जहां पे निफ्टी है उससे भी नीचे उस जमाने में सेंसेक्स था। 20-21 हजार का सेंसेक्स था, आज गिर के भी 80 हजार का सेंसेक्स है। तो दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इंडिया एंड चाइना। हमारी अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ बाकी लोगों के सामने बहुत अच्छी है।
So, sir, is it right to conclude कि FII ने जो भी selling करी and way forward, obviously they may do, but we are near to the bottoming out of those levels in the way, because they've already sold almost 1.5 lakh crore. अब बाकी का 1.5 लाख तो नहीं बेचेंगे, शायद 50,000 बेचे हैं. What is your views on that?
सो अभिषेक भाई, अगर एफपीआई बेचने आ गए
जी
और हमें पता चल गया है कि उन्हें डेस्परेटली बेचना है, तो हम तो 100% भाव नीचे करके ही लेंगे।
जी
मार्केट में कोई किसी की मदद नहीं करता, कोई किसी को एग्जिट नहीं देता, सब भाव कस के लेते हैं।
जी
तो एक मेंटल फ्रेम आप बना सकते हैं कि जब तक एफपीआई बेचेंगे एग्रेसिवली, मार्केट गिरेगा। जिस दिन उनकी सेलिंग खत्म हो गई तब मार्केट गिरना बंद हो जाएगा, और जब वो खरीदने आएंगे तो मार्केट ऊपर जाएगा। जब आपको पता है सामने वाले की साइड क्या है, आप कस के भाव लगाएंगे, चाहे गिरती हुई बाजार हो चाहे बढ़ती हुई बाजार हो।
right.
एफपीआई क्यों बेच रहे हैं? जैसा मैंने पहले बताया, वह चाइना में जाने के लिए नहीं बेच रहे हैं, वो यूएस और जापान में अपना माल लेके जा रहे हैं। यूएस में क्यों? ट्रम्प साहब ने बोला है हम टैक्स काटेंगे। जैसा टैक्स कटेगा कॉर्पोरेट प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा, ईपीएस बढ़ेगी, वैल्यूएशन कम होंगे। ऑब्वियसली इट मेक सेंस टू गो एंड बाय अमेरिकन इक्विटी। सेकंड, ट्रम्प साहब आएंगे तो यूएस डॉलर स्ट्रेंथन होगा, रुपया वीक होगा, तो आप डॉलर में पैसा लगाएंगे, फायदा होगा। और अगर एफपीआई बेचते हैं तो इंडियन मार्केट गिरती है, आपके पोर्टफोलियो में मार्क टू मार्केट नुकसान होगा। तो 10-15% अमेरिकन मार्केट चलने वाली थी, 10% इंडियन मार्केट गिरने वाली थी, 3-4% रुपया गिरने वाला था। कुल मिला के 27-30% रिटर्न बनता था अगर आप इंडिया बेच के अमेरिका खरीदते। कौन इन्वेस्टर इसको छोड़ेगा? इसलिए हमने 1.5 लाख करोड़ की सेलिंग देखी। लेकिन अब आगे क्या? यहां से इंडियन मार्केट 10% और गिरेगा, चांसेस कम है। रुपया यहां से और 3% 4% गिरेगा, चांसेस कम है। आरबीआई $700 बिलियन लेके बैठा है। अमेरिकन मार्केट यहां से और 10-15% ऊपर जाएंगे, मुश्किल है। ऑलरेडी दुनिया में जितना मार्केट कैप है उसका 66% अमेरिका का बन चुका है। तो अब ये ट्रेड रिवर्स होता हुआ दिख रहा है। इसीलिए लगता है कि एफपीआई की सेलिंग उतनी तेज नहीं रहेगी, उतनी एग्रेसिव नहीं रहेगी, और इसीलिए हो सकता है कि मार्केट में गिरावट कम हो जाए। जो मैंने बोला, क्या वो हमेशा सही होता है? बिल्कुल नहीं, हम हमेशा गलत होते हैं। तो हो सकता है कि कल भी एफपीआई बेचे और मार्केट और गिरे, ये हमारे हाथ में नहीं है। पर आपके हाथ में ये है कि जब मार्केट गिरे तो आप खरीदारी कर सकते हैं, आपका अलोकेशन इक्विटी में बढ़ा सकते हैं।
You summed it very well, sir. I think thank you, and thanks to all our customers who have joined the call. I think we have exceeded the time, and thank you, Nilesh sir, for taking out time for attending and
थैंक यू
speak to
अभिषेक
our
भाई,
clients. And
इट वाज माय
thank you all
प्लेजर।
the clients. Yeah, thank you, sir. We may close the call, operator. Yeah, thank you.
थैंक यू।